back again for part two. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Biggie Let's Talk. And I'm hoping I can talk to Sheena Taylor any second now regarding her ADHD coaching. So I'll send her an invite. Okay, she's in. Okay, Sheena, that's fine. That looks like it's working now. So I've accepted it. So let Instagram do its magic in the background, and it should come on in a second. Right, let me cancel the request and do it again. Cancelled. So if you accept it on your side now, Sheena. There you go.
We got it.
Finally got it. How are you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Okay, one more thing. You see on the bottom right hand side of your screen, you know you got the arrow that's going up the aeroplane.
Yeah,
If you press that, do it while I'm talking to you now.
yeah.
And if you just tap, and that just invites all your contacts.
All right, okay.
Yeah? Or anyone that you want
Yeah.
to be watching. So just tap. I know you got a lot, but
Yeah.
just go all the way down.
All right, I'll keep
So how are
going.
you? How's your day been?
Yeah, it's been good, thank you. Yes. Had a
Fantastic.
lovely client today, so that's always nice.
No such thing as quiet.
Yes.
Okay, so have you finished doing that? Yeah, okay. So if you want to tell me about your journey and how it started.
Yeah, sure thing. So it actually started when I was a special educational needs coordinator in education, just helping children and their parents to navigate the struggles of daily life. And the more and more I was seeing that actually having positive mental well-being was actually the key to coping day to day. And that's where the passion for supporting women, finding a really accessible way for women to boost their mental well-being. That's where that started. And that's kind of why I started my organizing business as well.
Brilliant.
And so I've been working with women with ADHD. They've been finding me and just desperate for some help. And working alongside these women for over 4 years now, it created a desire to want to help them on a much deeper level. That wasn't decluttering and organizing, and that's where the mentoring came in.
Fantastic. How long have you been doing it now, did you say? You've been doing it for 4 years?
Yeah, so I've been doing the organizing for over 4 years now, and I'm just moving into the mentoring space.
And
Well,
what kind of challenges have you faced?
challenges. Let's see. Well, I think one of the biggest challenges for me is actually being the strength that and the voice for a lot of my clients. So for them, because a lot of them are running their own business and juggling things at home, they feel like they have to choose between both of them. And so it's about bringing that, that belief. I bring the belief in them that they can do both. So they don't need to choose between the two. They don't need to have, a thriving business while there's chaos at home, or the other way around. And also they have such deep guilt around not doing enough in each of those areas. And I love that I can sort of just review their weeks with them and say, well, look what you've done. And actually you're achieving so much more than you're giving yourself credit for. And that was particularly true with a client of mine I worked with quite a while ago now. When she came to me, she was feeling, she said, like a complete failure. There was something in her home life that she had been putting off for over 5 years, and it had knocked her confidence completely. after one session with me, she said like she could finally breathe again.
Wow.
Mentoring had kind of reminded her what she was capable of. And this led to her actually taking over her boss's company when he retired.
Amazing. Okay, you talk a lot about shame, struggle to shame. Tell us a
Yeah.
bit about that.
Yeah, so there is a lot of shame and struggle for women that, especially if they've been late diagnosed ADHD. And for them, it initially looks like I'm never going to get on top of things. So working with me, we changed that to I can trust myself to make my life easier. That's what we're aiming for. It's not about perfection. It's about building ways that work with their ADHD brains and energy and working with that rather than against that so that they aren't feeling shame about what they are accomplishing. And it's also about them being able to reset really quickly when they have a tough day instead of spiraling into that shame. So we're working on strategies with them so that that doesn't happen.
Brilliant. Just want to turn the clock back a bit. Do you want to just quickly run past me what ADHD is? I know what
Yeah.
it is, but just in case somebody don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, the term will probably change because it's quite an old term, but it's sort of attention hyperactivity deficit disorder. And there's quite a lot of, I think there's quite a lot of conversation about how that might change over time because actually there are different types of ADHD and not all of them are hyperactive in the sense that people can see it. It might be going on in the mind instead. And I think not everyone likes the term disorder as well. Some people find that quite offensive. So that might change in the future. We'll have to watch this space.
See, when I was younger, I always thought ADHD was like somebody that's really hyper.
Yeah, yeah, and it
But
does
then it might
present
not be. It might
differently.
just be somebody that's. I've got a friend whose son's ADHD, and he just likes to be calm, chill by
Yeah,
himself, and he's just happy like playing with his Lego.
yeah. It can be just a lot going on in their brain, or with
Hmm.
other people, it can show up as being really talkative. So it every person that has ADHD has ADHD in their own way. There no two people are going to be the same.
And what is ADHD in the brain? Is it like a chemical?
It's actually a combination of lots of different things. So it can be different parts of the brain. The structure might be a different size or shape than would be in another brain. It could be differences in how the chemicals or like things are transmitted across, signals are transmitted. There might be some difficulty with that happening in the brain. External factors can also have an influence on how it presents in different people. So it's really multifaceted. It's not just one thing that creates an ADHD person.
So, what are the challenges that you face, like having like entrepreneur ladies?
So for me, I guess the biggest challenge that I initially faced when I was doing this, because I don't have a diagnosis of ADHD. I'm not sure that I do have ADHD. I think I don't. And so I always thought, would I be able to, would people that have ADHD want my
Would you be able
help?
to engage? Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, it's a real asset because my brain does things in a completely different way than theirs does. And so we can actually use that in our favor working together. So I don't see it as a challenge anymore. It's actually turned out to be a benefit.
Okay, and you often say changing limits, beliefs in key.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, limiting beliefs.
Explain that.
So, limiting beliefs are just things that people have started to believe about themselves over time. It's kind of like a little voice in their head that they say to themselves. And if you don't change that, like, so if deep down a person still is thinking, I'm a failure or I'm such a mess, there's no system or planner that's going to stick for them. Those beliefs impact their actions every single day. And so I help women to identify those stories that they're telling themselves and rewrite them, so they start to believe that they're worthy of things being easier and actually capable of achieving that. And that's when the real change starts to happen. This was really true for a client of mine. When she came to me, she was always comparing herself to others and feeling like she was never good enough. And
Right.
through
Okay.
mentoring, she was feeling really a lot of the shame and guilt that we were talking about earlier. And so through our mentoring sessions, she just gained a new belief that it was okay for her to do things differently and at a different pace, and it looked different than other people. And she said that this gave her so much confidence that she was able to actually leave a job that she no longer loved.
Brilliant. And is there a link with ADHD and autism?
They can overlap sometimes. People with ADHD can have autism, and there can also be similarities in some of the symptoms that are displayed. But it's not always the case. You know, you can have people that are just autistic, you can have people that are just ADHD, or a combination of the both.
And
Um,
most people are diagnosed when they're younger, aren't they?
Most people are diagnosed when they're younger. I think for women that hasn't been the case. As we've seen lately, there's been a lot more women being diagnosed much later in life because it wasn't seen in ADHD, like it wasn't seen as ADHD when they were growing up because it didn't present in the same way that it did in boys. And that's really key, I think, now that we have that awareness, because the conversation is not about just looking at a child and seeing what behaviors they're presenting with. It's actually about talking to them about what's going on internally for them. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about working with the women that I work with now, is that
Brilliant.
they're finally able to, you know, someone's finally asking them questions about how things are working for them, which they've not had throughout their life. Instead, they've just been told that they're getting things wrong, or they've just trying to keep up with how everyone else is doing
Yeah.
things. Yeah, yeah.
So what's a typical day with you? So somebody will contact you via your social media or your website,
Yeah.
and then what do you do then?
So it's a process where we start with a consultation. So we have to see if we're going to be a good match for each other, if we're going to be working together. And then once we have established if that's the case, then we set up sessions where we check in regularly. So there's a lot of reviewing of what's gone well in the last week, what hasn't gone well, what habits are really supporting them, and maybe the ones that aren't. It's around talking about a lot of those beliefs and how they're presenting themselves in their life, and making tiny little changes
Yeah.
each time, because when you try and make all kinds of changes at once, that's when things never go to plan and usually don't stick. So it's about finding tiny little tweaks that are manageable and that the client feels able to actually do. That's what we want for them. We want each day to look manageable for them. So there's flexibility, because that's quite important for ADHD brains. They don't like structure and routine. So a bit of flexibility, but with some structure included in that. Um, and working with them, it's coming up with planning and things so that they know what to expect when they wake up in the morning, and also that they're only taking on what's enough for each day. And they've got a bit of breathing room throughout their days as well. So that's the sort of thing that we work on when we work together, is planning ahead for the next week and what that's going to look like, using simple systems that they can have in their home and in their business to keep things ticking over without relying on motivation, because it's really tricky for ADHD people to get motivated to do things they don't want to do. So you want things just to be ticking along. And also, we really focus on rewiring that negative self-talk that they have about themselves, because that, like I said earlier, those are like the limiting beliefs that impact everything that's happening in their life day to day. And we really want to change the way that they're talking to themselves as well.
I can imagine.
Mm.
Okay, how do you approach plan? You touched on this just now. Planning systems.
Yes. When I work with ADHD clients, it's about getting rid of this idea of consistency, being that you have to do exactly the same thing every day. It's more about doing, even if it's a tiny bit of something, that's still consistent, than not doing anything at all. And for ADHD brains, it's about coming back to a structure that matches their energy that they have available at that particular time. So some days they'll be able to do amazing things. They'll be able to get loads done. And then other days they are going to have to say, I can only do the bare minimum. And it's about recognizing those things and working with that. It's also about planning habits that feel good for them, that don't feel like a punishment or a chore,
Yeah.
because then they will just never tackle them. And it's not about being more productive, it's about bringing ease to the hard things that they're dealing with every day.
That's mostly the hardest part, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
That and the
Because
shame as well. I
I was
think a
just
lot of
thinking
them
about,
feel ashamed, don't they?
yeah, because they feel like they should be able to do it like everyone else. And that's very heavy to feel that way. Like you're doing your best and it's not enough. And yeah, we definitely want to change the thinking around that.
Okay, and is it ADHD that don't like routine or they like routine?
Well, a lot of them don't like routine, but actually they really need routine, and they
Yeah.
normally know that about themselves. So even though they don't really like it, they also know they kind of make themselves do it because they know it's going to help them.
And can two ADHD people get together and be fine together, or do they like
Oh
do the
yeah.
chemicals start reacting and they start arguing and fighting?
No, I actually think it when they find a space with other people that have ADHD, they feel seen for the first time, like they can be themselves because they've been so afraid of letting other people see who they actually are because it's different than how things are normally presented in other
Mhm.
people. When they meet, a friend with ADHD, they don't have to hide all of that stuff anymore. So they can
Yeah.
really, yeah, it really validates them.
And is there levels of ADHD? So can you like be on the spectrum at a lower level and then have it at a higher scale?
Yes, it's just like it's like autism in that way. It can be so different in each individual, and so it's not about coming up with one system that works for all because that just wouldn't be possible. Every single person with ADHD is going to be an individual person with individual needs that have to be worked with them and how they work rather than choosing things that might have worked for other people.
Excellent.
Mm.
Fantastic. And so how do you actually pick your clients? Or do they contact you or do they get referred to you?
Sometimes it's referral, yeah. So if people have worked with me before, I've been very lucky. My clients are happy to shout about what I do with them, and to share that with other people. Um, and yeah. Usually they find me, and then we see for a good fit.
Okay, any success stories?
Yes, I do have some success stories. I did mention Kathy before, but I think there's another client I had, Nicola, and so again, it was the same kind of situation when we first met. She was comparing herself constantly to her sister, and how her sister had always done things. And there was a lot of negative self-talk about how her house looked and how she was managing things, and dreams that she had and goals for herself that she just never was achieving. And so we started working together around a lot of the mindset, around some of the habits, and probably I think it must have been about 3 sessions in. As soon as we met for the session, I could tell something was different. She was really, really excited. And she said, I've got something to tell you. And I had known that one of her goals and dreams was to go to India. And something she had just never thought was ever going to happen. And yeah, this like third or fourth session, she said to me, my friend's going to India. She's invited me and I'm going with her.
Wow.
So yeah, just amazing that it just having someone else behind her that believed in her made her confident enough to make really big life-changing decisions, like following a dream that she'd always had. So I think that's a pretty good success story.
So do ADHD people don't like to be in a crowd? Do they mind being in a crowd or are they all different?
I think again, it's very different. Some people they love to be in a crowd of people. They thrive on the energy, but then they really need to rest afterwards because it takes so much of their energy to be part of that. And then there are other people that find that stimulation, the noise, the sounds, the smells is too much for them. So again, it comes down to each individual.
And how does ADHD in women be different from to men or younger girls, ladies?
I think actually ADHD in older women might be more pronounced because we've got perimenopause going on, and when the hormones
Yeah.
change, that sort of exacerbates all of the symptoms of ADHD. So it might for a lot of women, they've been dealing with these things their whole lifetime. But
Yeah.
it's not until they hit this stage, an older stage in life, the midlife, where the hormones starts to change, that the symptoms get so much more intense. I guess they show up a lot more, and they think, well, hang on a minute, this isn't, this is hard. Like what I'm dealing with is really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
think,
And what
yeah,
types of medication are people on? Are people on
that
ADHD on any medication?
some people choose to be on medication, some people choose not to, and that is definitely something that they would have to work with, probably like a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist, whoever they're working with, would be able to advise them best on that, because there are different types of medication as well, and it really depends on, again, each individual. There are other ways that you can help manage things that are not medication. But it depends on the person.
Do you recommend medication?
It's not an area that's not my expertise. So I would refer anyone back to whoever they had received their diagnosis from
Brilliant.
to discuss that with them. Um, I would give them lots of things that they could do naturally in their life that could help to lessen some of the symptoms, but it might be that medication is the right answer for them. That's a personal choice.
Okay. Well, that's a medical choice as well, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Okay, so if you were to send one message out to somebody that's got ADHD, what would it be right now?
So if there was a person that had ADHD that was just kind of feeling, a bit overwhelmed with things, I would say start with a reset list. This is not a to-do list. It's not, it's more of a short, gentle guide you turn to when you've got ADHD, your brain is exhausted and you're just feeling like everything is too much. Think things like open a window, have a drink of water, have a healthy meal, move for 3 minutes. Keep it really, really simple, because then you're not behind if you're feeling overwhelmed with ADHD. Your brain is ready for a reset and just a bit of quieter time. And so this one small step can interrupt the overwhelm that you're feeling, and it helps you to feel like things are actually going to be okay.
Because obviously you deal with a lot of entrepreneurs. Sorry, I'll go off the my. So my contact lens is playing up. So you deal with a lot of entrepreneur ladies. Is that
Yes.
is that is that is it different when you like talk to somebody that's on a normal lady with ADHD and an entrepreneur lady?
I think, well, they'll have different challenges because, whether they're working or whether they are, like working in a company, or whether they're running their own business, it will present different challenges. And, I think both would come with different stresses. For me, I really enjoy working with women entrepreneurs, um, just because they have obviously, like, they found in themselves something they truly believe in. They believe in
Mhm.
themselves enough to start their own business. And then me being able to support them from behind means that they won't have that feeling of failure, in their home life whilst they're trying to run their business. It's about creating that balance, for them, and kind of being a bit of a cheerleader for them as well, saying,
Brilliant.
yeah, you can do this.
And have you only coached in the UK at the moment? Have you gone abroad or coached?
Sorry, what's that?
Have you gone abroad and coached, or
Have
only in
I
the UK?
So my mostly in the UK, I focus on, yeah, my clients are in the UK.
Fair enough.
Yeah, for
And
now.
okay, and how can people get hold of you? Just give a
So
plug out to your socials.
yeah, so I have, my Instagram is your underscore professional underscore organizer, because that from my background. I also have a Facebook group that's, a calmer life with ADHD, or a calmer ADHD life, pardon me. So that's a really supportive community for people to come into, that, yeah, they can feel part of something and get a bit of support along the way.
Brilliant. We're doing a fantastic job. I just want you to know that
Thank you.
because I know how hard it can be talking to and obviously teaching people the ADHD. What's this? Very enlightening discussion as always, Biggie. Thank you very much, Mr. Man. And did I ask you? Did I ask you to nominate anybody? Did you get managed to nominate somebody?
Oh, I gave you the name and now I can't remember. That's terrible.
Okay, just get back to me when you remember. That's no problem. But
Yeah,
Sheila, I just want to say thank you because I know Instagram gets funny when you go over an hour. So
yeah,
thank you very
yeah.
much for your time
Okay, thank
and
you so
be
much.
fantastic. I wish you all the best in the future.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, all right. Take care. Thanks a
take
lot.
care. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
So that is Sheena Taylor, ADHD coach. So guys, I've got other guests coming on as well. So keep locked on the page. Just press the follow. Follow me on Facebook as well and YouTube and TikTok. And I should be with a new guest very soon. Take care. Big love. Laters.